Good morning to those of you on the West Coast, and good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast, and wherever you might be tuning in from elsewhere around the world or North America. It's a pleasure to virtually see you, and thanks for joining us at this session. Really excited about this story. It's a really incredible journey that you're going to hear about from Shannon and Corey. The title of the session appropriately is Planning Partnerships, Platforms, and People. And it's about how these teams built a proverbial plane in flight to immunize the province of BC during a pandemic. So we're going to be joined by Assistant Deputy Minister of the Health Sector, IMIT Division of the Ministry of Health of British Columbia, Corey Barkley, and the Chief Digital Innovation Officer for the Provincial Health Services Authority, Shannon Malovic. And they're going to take you on their proverbial journey of building the plane while in flight. So they were tasked with implementing a province-wide vaccine management solution and integrated multiple partners, platforms, and health authorities. Their journey was certainly one full of altered flight paths, powerful teamwork, and at times, excessive and stressful turbulence. Corey and Shannon are going to share their packing tips, their travel experiences, their flight plans, and identify some future destinations from their lessons learned. To date, the Get Vaccinated system in British Columbia has seen over 2.5 million people register and either receive their first shot or plan to in the coming weeks. I got mine last Monday. And with that, I'll turn it over to Shannon and Corey so they can take us on their flight journey.
Great, and thank you, Erin, for that introduction. And hello, everybody. We can just move to the next slide. Shannon and I are so pleased to be here today to share our journey. And we really did feel like we were building the plane while it was flying. So we're going to give you an overview of what the IMS program is, share our journey, and really take you behind the scenes to what the experience was really like as we were building this plane while flying it. And then we're going to share some lessons learned. I think it's so important through this COVID year. We've all gained a lot of experience, in sharing those learnings helps us all. And then we'll share where to next and end with some questions and answers. If we can just pop to the next slide. This COVID pandemic has been by far the greatest challenge we have faced in a generation. And with the arrival of the vaccine into Canada and into the province, nothing could be more important than getting that vaccine into the arms of those in British Columbia. So in BC, we made a public commitment to immunize all those in BC who wanted a vaccine by September, both doses. So we estimated what that meant for us was 4.3 million citizens, and that would be 8.6 million vaccines in people's arms. We also committed to running mass clinics for the general population starting in April through to September. And that would require us to get up to 500,000 shots every week through the summer. And the plan was to start with our oldest and then go down in 5 years age cohorts. Our vaccine program, like everyone's, evolved as time went on. We ended up pivoting to include the clinically extremely vulnerable, our priority populations, our frontline workers, and managing outbreaks and getting vaccine into those areas. We also committed to having clinics in 172 communities across our province into those remote and rural areas. So our challenge, which we did choose to accept, was to digitally enable this vaccine program with a provincial solution in 9 very short weeks. I'm going to pass to Shannon on our next slide, and she's going to share what is our MCC program.
So here is an overview of our end-to-end BC solution. We entered in partnership with Public Health Agency of Canada on this solution, which sits on top of the Deloitte Health Connect and the Salesforce platform. We've branded this solution in BC as IMS BC, as the solution we chose to meet our urgent need to communicate to citizens and get them scheduled for their vaccine appointment and then track their vaccine administration. So there's 4 key functions of the solution. The first is all around citizen registration. We built and launched this module first in an effort to get citizens to register online rather than calling the call center, which they had been used to, and really start to enable us to plan from a supply perspective. Here, the citizen enters their PHN and their preferred contact method, email or SMS. And then once they're registered, eligibility is then run based on our EMPI integration and the established rules that we've built around age or community status. And once a citizen is deemed eligible, they receive a secure booking link that's unique to them. It goes to their email or their phone, and they can go online and book. We also established a call center supported by the Ministry of Citizen Services and partners at Maximus and TELUS for any language translation or just general support for citizens trying to book. So the citizens booked, they then show up for their appointment. The Clinic in the Box module is where all the in-clinic electronic documentation occurs. Here, a check-in clerk can scan a citizen's QR code or perform a quick search in the system. There's no paper necessary. You as a citizen then go through to your immunization station, and right there the vaccine administration is documented in the system, along with any adverse events that may occur afterwards, and inventory is decremented and planned out. When a citizen then leaves, this information is uploaded into both our provincial immunization registry, where all of our immunizations are housed, as well as to our health gateway, where citizens can see an electronic record of their vaccination. And then the clock starts ticking for when to remind citizens to come in for their dose 2. And once the citizen has waited the set number of days that we have established here in BC, they then receive a secure booking link to book dose 2 and go through the process again. We have an unbelievable amount of data to report through this provincial solution. This supports clinics to plan operations efficiently, and it also feeds to our minister level reporting. So let us tell you a little bit about how our flight plan has gone on the next slide here, and really what it's been like to build this plane while flying. As Corey said, 9 weeks. It has been an extremely aggressive schedule where our plane design and pre-flight planning started in mid-January based on solution selection, to getting a full plane designed and built and on the tarmac for an April 6th takeoff, to launching across all mass clinics in the province in mid-April, to having twice weekly releases in April, moving to weekly releases in May, and now just starting to move to bi-weekly releases. We actually feel we're flying smooth now, and we're set to land safely and head to some new destinations, which we'll tell you about. I'll pass it back to Corey.
Great. So this is our pre-flight. We're going to give you some insight into what that experience was like, the planning, and then getting everybody boarded onto the plane. So our first order of business was get a plane, get a vaccine solution. And you can imagine at this time, this was back in the January timeframe, and we were watching every jurisdiction, everyone around the globe scrambling to try to find a solution to administer mass volumes of vaccine to their public. And at the same time, we were watching and learning about all of the experiences and some of the immediate attention on the challenges that people were facing. So we had this real sense of urgency that we needed to start building our own plane, make a decision, and get going. But we were very fortunate. We were able to leverage the partnership and the agreement that had been established by the Public Health Agency of Canada. So we onboarded onto that agreement, and there began our partnership and our journey with the Deloitte team using their Health Connect solution on the Salesforce platform. And this was many strategic partnerships, as you can appreciate, were needed during this journey. And the whole public service and the health sector, we really rallied around and unified on that common goal of keeping our citizens safe and healthy and getting them vaccinated. So it was a really great experience to see everyone come together. Most notably, I would say, is the partnership with Shannon and I. We were able to bring our digital leadership and our teams and our talent together from the Ministry of Health and the Provincial Health Services Agency. And we've been working closely together, delivering all of the digital capabilities for the whole COVID pandemic, and finally got to this vaccine program. So we were able to leverage that alliance. So building our crew, we pulled together our crew, and in mid-January, for the first time, many of them met each other. And we had to rely, as many of you, on collaboration tools like Zoom meetings and team meetings, Mira boards, and Jira. And that really had the that really was our glue keeping us together. And admittedly, that was challenging for us. We always have the benefits of a project room and war rooms where we have our plans on the wall. And given the dynamic nature of this program, it was constantly changing. It was difficult at times to continue to communicate that out. So that was one of the challenges that we faced. And then finally, we had to get everybody on board, onto the plane. And we had built this plane to be completely digital, no paper. And again, the around the world there, we were hearing about the challenges as jurisdictions were launching their solutions. So there was no room for failure. We had to be successful on day one. So we managed to get everybody on board. We did experience a few delays as we were reassuring that this plane was ready, the solution was ready for everybody. And we got them all on board, buckled them in, and we reassured them that we were ready for takeoff. I'll just pass to Shannon to share our experience about our takeoff.
Okay, so we have been cleared for takeoff. We actually, as we were heading out to the tarmac, we had a little bit of a delay in ensuring that we did have our risk mitigation strategies all in place for launch, particularly around performance. So as we were gearing up to go down that tarmac, what we did was we made sure that we had the Akamai waiting room functionality set up for this solution in case we needed to communicate to our citizens any system delays due to high volumes. Amazingly, we never did have to use that online waiting room functionality when we launched. We had terrific support from Deloitte and from Salesforce to ensure that we had maximum performance possible, and they really were monitoring it every minute. So then we started off down the runway. We did start off slow and thoughtfully. Our strategy was to launch the solution with the call center first, prior to citizen use, which gave us an opportunity to see the system in action for a couple weeks and work out any bugs. We then did a practice run with a couple communities on the island. We knew that this would be a significant shift for citizens to go online rather than call and get booked for a service. So we needed the user experience to be solid. We had engaged citizens in our design, but the pilots on the island really let us see the system in a live environment. So we launched with a few small populations, communicating locally on the ground, not announcing anything publicly on April 4th. And we were so thankful that we did, because we found showstoppers that had to be fixed by April 6th. So we had to fix those on April 5th. The April 6th public communication had already gone out there. So we fixed them and we were ready to go. And Corey and I went full throttle in the cockpit and up we went, no performance delays, relatively minor system issues, and we started flying. We then had to get the in-clinic solution launched. Our objective was to design it super simple with a goal of electronic documentation throughout the clinic. However, we did have some nervousness in this province from some not so successful IT projects in the past, and not all the health authorities have ever come together on a full instance before. So we were actually told to design for paper, supported by the technology, and go live with paper as the primary workflow. So this was like designing a 737, but being told to only go 50 kilometers per hour. Thankfully, with our principle of keeping it simple, when we introduced the system right on day one in the clinics, it was instant uptake digitally throughout the whole clinic. And right from day one, we had clinics using the full electronic solution, from the QR code scanner or the quick search at check-in to the documentation of the vaccine administration. All of that was electronic. There was no paper running between stations, no manual checklists to check in individuals. So our objective of full digital, no paper were achieved. So I'll pass it back to Corey to share some of our in-flight updates.
So thanks, Shannon. So now we're up in the air, and the beginning of our flight were actually quite smooth. We had designed this plane at a high velocity to handle the volumes of a mass clinics, but as we all experienced, our supply was more constrained, And we had to redesign our plane to be able to have more targeted supply sent into hotspot areas where we are experiencing outbreaks, and also to help our more vulnerable populations, our clinically extremely vulnerable, get vaccines to those people. And we could have fallen back to the call center, but we really wanted to create an exceptional digital experience for those in BC. So as leaders, we like to stay up on the bridge or in that cockpit looking out and leading our team, but we found ourselves along with other senior leaders in the engine room. We had to really look at how the engine was designed, understand it, and together we had the solution, building off different components and really redesigning our engine. A lot of it was around the rules engine. So it had been designed by age, and now we were having to redesign it and rebuild it to be able to create eligibility and send booking notices out in a completely different way. So our team ended up, through this journey, we delivered 14 major enhancements to the solution in addition to all the hot fixes. And our team was up through the night, working 24/7, so committed to this program. And we know quite weary and very tired, but they did what was required, and as all of you have, to deliver the vaccine program for citizens. Now we're looking at the experience of our passengers. That was behind the scenes, all of those late nights and redesigning. From a passenger experience, our users, our stakeholders, we have had nothing but positive feedback on what the experience was like, right through from clients booking their appointments. Our registration and our booking experience has been very quick, easy to use, and the in-clinic experience itself, the way the clinics have been designed, it really is a great, easy flow and helps get our citizens quickly through those clinics. So together through this, we were really able to demonstrate how instrumental and essential this digital solution was to successfully deliver the vaccine program. We're gonna go to the next slide. And here's some of our stats. So one of the great things about this solution is that you have access to real-time data, and we're able to keep our public informed of our progress quite quickly. Our minister regular tweets out our progress, and it's all because we have a provincial system that everybody's entering into in real time, and we can produce this type of data. So this is a May 20th dashboard that shows our registration, and Shannon and I have been a bit competitive with our contact center, always wanting citizens to choose a digital experience. So you can see here we've had a really great uptake. We've got 80% of registrations are all online, and similar stats for our bookings. If you go to the next slide, this is one of my favorites. I know it's busy, but what it shows is what a digital solution can do for a program. So you'll see our volumes up when we were relying entirely on the call center. And then as soon as we launched the digital solution, our capacity in the province just skyrocketed for how many citizens we could get in, booking their appointments and registering on the system. We were about 30,000 a day for bookings. And with the new solution, we've reached over 100,000 bookings each day. So it was really a fundamental shift in how we were delivering the vaccine program. I have a friend who said, because we can do 24/7 booking, that he set his alert on his phone because he knew he was eligible and his booking notice would be coming that night. And he equated it to your favorite band is coming into town and you want to get your concert tickets. And as soon as you're ready, you're going to press that button. So there's a real excitement that was generating around getting your booking notice and getting in there right away. Very exciting. And then I think we have one more data slide. Can't emphasize enough the rich data that we have now available to decision makers at that population health level, see how our vaccination program is going, and also at the in-clinic, operating the clinics, seeing how many appointments you have and really matching the supply of appointments to the supply of vaccine and being able to really maximize the capacity of all our clinics. And because this is our digital health conference, just sharing the preference of communication channels here, you can see that the majority of our citizens have chosen email and SMS over phone, which is probably not a big surprise to folks, but this is the data to prove that out. So we'll go to the next slide and I'll pass it back to Shannon.
So what are some of our travel tips for you all and some of our lessons learned? One, pack for any weather, but don't overpack. So our principle was to design for simplicity. We kept the design super simple, but we ensured any number of use cases could be covered. So we designed for both the happy path and the unhappy path. And the goal was for every clinic provincially, large, small, rural, urban, to be able to apply the solution in any number of different use cases so that that documentation could happen electronically in real time. Two, always remember your toothbrush. Always remember the basics. Despite the limited timeline we had and the speed that we had to move, we had to ensure that best practices remained in place when it came to agile methodology fundamentals. So we had a few hiccups here and some lessons learned on really needing to ensure good testing rigor, good environment management methodology were all still in place, and we made sure this was a priority for our releases. We did achieve a functional MVP for our April target launch that didn't fail us. And every release that we've put out there since then hasn't failed us. Yes, there has been bugs. Yes, we have put out some functionality when we knew it wasn't 100% a couple times. But we did this to balance the provincial direction on what was required, and knowing that we didn't have any critical issues and that the system was good for use from a clinician and a citizen experience. And this allowed us to really meet our timelines while ensuring really good transparency from a system perspective on where we're at with our users. Three, you need to trust your crew. You need to trust your partners. And it helps to have a co-pilot. Corey, you've been a fantastic captain and co-pilot here. All stakeholders are required to make a provincial solution work. Partnerships, collaboration, and engagement are so critical. So we were very thoughtful with all of the partners across the province that really needed to play a role in supporting this. We achieved a provincial solution with all health authorities working in one instance. So for anyone that knows BC, this is unbelievable. This has never happened before in the history of BC healthcare. We have all health authorities working in a single instance. We even have our partners outside of the health authorities that supported in the vaccine program, Red Cross, WestJet, all working in the same solution. And we all recognize that we need to be in this together if we're going to achieve our goal of immunizing our whole eligible province in BC. And lastly, plan your route, but allow for some flexibility. So plan, always plan your technology to align to your workflow, even when requirements are changing, but allow for that change to happen, plan for that change, and be agile when you're making adjustments. We had to do this on a daily basis, sometimes an hourly basis on this project. And what really helped us was having dedicated decision making at all levels. We needed to have that immediate dedicated decision making ability throughout this initiative so that we could make adjustments on a regular basis. And lastly, if we flip to the next slide, we'll tell you not to forget to have some fun. So as Corey mentioned, we had people working around the clock, many not taking an evening or a weekend off since Christmas, many pulling all-nighters on the releases. Stress can be intense. So one way our team has found relief is through memes. Mm-hmm. So here are some of our favorites that have been created while on the project, and I know they make Corey and I laugh every time we have a look at them. And I'll pass it back to Corey.
Great. They still make me laugh when I see those. So the province, we are well underway of achieving our public commitment to have everyone who wants a vaccine in BC vaccinated with both their doses by September of 2021. In fact, we're actually ahead of schedule for dose 1, and we're very optimistic that we will be ahead of schedule and finish for dose 2. And now we have this amazing MCC platform, as Shannon had said. We've got all of our stakeholders using it, all the health authorities, and public health is seeing this as a real asset for them. So we're looking next at rolling it out for school age immunizations, and then even the flu. So we will be building towards that provincial immunization registry for all publicly funded vaccines in the province. And Shannon and I are also looking at the Health Connect product and the Salesforce platform, and where can that take us with our digital health strategy, and what more can we do for our citizens in BC with this solution. So we're pretty excited about that. If we go to our next slide, just in closing with our presentation, we just really wanted again to recognize all these partnerships that we've been working together. This is our crew. We have a massive crew of dedicated folks from all these organizations that have been working with us, and the pace that we've all had to run at together, it's been so aggressive. The pressure has been high. The visibility to the public has been high, and we've just, together, we've been able to work in a whole different way. And we've really proven that together you can achieve more. I think it's forever changed how we'll work together, and Shannon and I are really looking forward to working with all these partners as we plan our next journey. So we'll wrap up, and we'll be available for some questions.
So I'm Erin O'Halloran again. It's lovely to see everybody. Thanks so much, Corey and Shannon. That was quite the story of a flight that's still going. Lots of lessons learned and lots of really great insights and tips that I'm sure a lot of your peers and colleagues across the country really value. So thanks so much for sharing with us. We've got a few questions prepared for you, and then we'll open it up to the audience to ask some questions. So first question is for Shannon. So Shannon, you've mentioned a few times the importance of partnerships, and you've talked about a few partner solutions and vendors. In your experience throughout this project, what were some of the critical hallmarks that made these vendors valued partners?
Yeah, it's a great question. A valued vendor is definitely a strategic partner. The fundamentals are for a vendor to really have great knowledge of their own capabilities and their solution possibilities, and be able to bring an understanding of their services to us as customers. But above that, the vendors that we worked with on this initiative really acted as true partners. They acted in the best interest of us as customers. Some things that come to mind: be proactive in offering ideas and services. Be honest about your own capabilities and solution options, and show solution agnostic thinking, and really what's best for the customer. We've been very fortunate to experience these things with our partners on this journey, who really have worked around the clock to help get us here.
Okay, so Corey, the next question will be for you, and it's around leadership. At Amazon, our leadership principles, we have 14 of them. They're very embedded in our culture and everything we do with our customers. So when you think about this journey and this project, what are some of the leadership principles or values that you relied on the most or embodied in order to be the most successful throughout some of these really challenging times?
Well, thank you, Erin. That's a great question. In the public service, we have a number of values, and the one that comes to mind the most for me with this experience is courage. It takes a lot of courage in a very stressful, high pressure, high politicized environment, and there was many decisions that were needed that were very bold and took a lot of courage. Because we were in such tight time frames, you didn't have really a lot of room for mistakes. and you had to move quickly in order to keep up to the dynamic nature of the program. So there was many nights that I admittedly lost sleep from some of the decisions that we had to make quite quickly that were really stretched myself even out of my comfort zone. So I definitely say courage is required during a time like this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the story was inevitably full of a lot of courageous and brave moments. So thanks for sharing that. Shannon, we'll go back to you. Most of the IMS BC solution rollout involved partners with cloud solutions. Can you speak to the power of the cloud, the capabilities of the cloud, and how it provided you the support you needed to achieve a project like this?
Yeah, I think we're fully cloud-based here, and the power of the cloud has been very, very powerful. Without the core cloud infrastructure, we would not have been able to respond in the time that we did with this solution and really get this off the ground. The rapid nature of cloud services means that we don't have traditional project delivery structures tethered to speeds of projects. We can move a lot quicker, and we can really make sure that we meet evolving and changing requirements. It also gives us that ability to scale and meet volume demands, as we've seen through a service like this. This is particularly evident in having to spin up new release management environments. Things that would take us months to develop were enabled in a few clicks. And then I'll lastly mention just the power of the data that we have now with all of this being in our cloud environments. The ability to run analytics and really leverage the data to support decision making has been amazing.
Great, thanks for that insight. Corey, we heard that there were over 500 people involved in your proverbial crew, multiple health authorities. You worked with PHAC. Can you speak to any of the communication norms or teamwork principles that you learned or developed throughout the project that enabled you to do this?
Well, that's another good question. Just as far as communication goes, you can never communicate enough. I think that would be something that everybody, a takeaway is the ever-changing dates and requirements, just communicating to the team. So I think we tried to do that as clear and as concise as possible so that people got very that clear direction. That, you assemble a team of high achievers. So people that have drawn themselves and want to participate in this program, everyone is, just amazing talent and high achievers. And some of the norms that we formed that went together was everyone was so innovative, so collaborative, but kind. Because really, I said to the team a few times, steel sharpens steel. Like we clashed at times, but we had a healthy respect for one another, and that became a norm, is that there was no problem that we were faced with that the team couldn't solve. And that was just, they stayed very collaborative, very innovative and creative, and very kind to one another. So I think those were 3 principles that our team normalized around and embodied.
That's wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. Shannon, one more question for you. Prior to IMS BC, PHSA chose AWS and the Amazon Pinpoint solution for its SMS and text communications for the COVID test results for citizens of British Columbia. And then when the IMS platform, IMS BC platform was developed, you used the same AWS Amazon Pinpoint solution for the text messages to confirm your registration, the booking, all of those pieces. And we saw the graph with the SMS statistics. Can you speak to what factors influence the decision to choose that service?
Yeah, we, as you said, we had spun up the COVID texting lab results service with AWS and the Pinpoint solution in such a quick, efficient time frame. And that really has been a success for us in BC in communicating efficiently COVID lab results. So we decided to continue to use this service for the vaccine texting service due to the certainty that we had from that experience. We knew that it was working well, and we were able to keep our costs very low with the service. We knew that there was Canadian residency, so it met our principles there, and was a cloud service, so that when we turned this on for the vaccine solution, we were able to cut over and spin it up in a matter of hours.
Great. And one last question for both of you. This is a surprise question. It's a one-word answer from each of you. If you could look back on this, all the ups and downs, the turbulence, the flight plans, changing requirements, all of this journey, and you had to liken it to an animal, which animal would you pick and why?
I'm going to be positive, and it's a bird, but I'm going to say eagle. I feel like we soared. Like we're so proud of our team and what we've been able to do for the province with all the people that you see on that screen, all those organizations, and we've really reached new heights. So it's been an amazing experience. So I'm going to go with eagle.
It's a great BC symbol, for sure.
It was very good to give me a chance to think. For going first. I was going to say something like a cheetah. I mean, we have been flying so fast. Like, think of the fastest animal out there and running from, left to right and back and forth, and just the agility that comes with the cheetah and the pace that cheetah can move, and what they can do. I'll go with that one.
That's a good one. I like.
Those are two great answers and two great animals. Okay, well, we're going to turn it over to our audience now. I know there's some questions that are coming in, so we'll turn it over to the audience, and we'll be back to chat with you in a minute.
Great, thank you.